Using primary sources in the history classroom. Unit 5, Point of View. Primary sources are human creations. They almost always reflect the unique point of view of the people who create them. In this presentation, we focus on the need to take point of view into account in interpreting any primary source. On the left is the source for our warm-up activity for the unit, a passage about westward expansion by Louis O'Sullivan. Take a minute to read it through. It will be the main source we use throughout this presentation. In this entire course on using primary sources, we've stressed the 5 skills shown here. Our focus in this presentation is on the last of these skills, the one you see underlined. The unit focuses on that 5th task on the list, analyzing source point of view, or bias. Here's that short passage again from Louis O'Sullivan. As you can see, it was O'Sullivan's speech that gave rise to the concept of manifest destiny, the idea that the United States was destined to spread across the continent. Obviously, O'Sullivan felt this destiny was a very good thing for the U.S. and the world. In other words, O'Sullivan expresses a strong point of view in favor of westward expansion. The phrases in bold type in the source especially help express this optimistic and expansive view of America's future. Every primary source is created from some point of view. This painting's vision is similar to O'Sullivan's notion of manifest destiny. It's an 1872 painting by John Gast titled American Progress. It shows progress as a movement of American civilization and light from the east to the west. A shimmering female figure bears schooling and technology in the form of a book and a telegraph wire. Settlers replace Indians in a visual celebration of what O'Sullivan calls the nation's manifest destiny. On the other hand, this print expresses a somewhat less positive point of view about westward expansion. It's about the Battle of Little Bighorn, where General Custer lost his life in a fight with several united Indian tribes. Students might argue about how favorable or unfavorable a view this is of Custer himself. In either case, the image does not depict Western settlement as the harmonious spread of civilization Gast offers in his painting American Progress. Every source expresses some point of view. This does not make the source less useful. It does affect the way the source can be used. O'Sullivan's statement is an opinion, not fact. However, his view influenced many who shared his vision. This makes his statement useful, not merely as evidence of his own beliefs, but as evidence of what many Americans then believed. It helps to think of the concept of point of view as having 2 aspects. We can label them internal point of view and external point of view. Internal point of view has to do with the meaning and tone of the source itself. That is, it has to do with various kinds of loaded language, or with the way it selectively emphasizes some things while downplaying others or leaving them out entirely. That is, it has to do with various meanings that students discover when they read closely to interpret any source. Another word for internal point of view might be bias. However, the word bias can be misleading. Bias has a negative connotation, suggesting some kind of harsh or even bigoted expression. Not all sources are obviously biased in this negative sense. Yet just about every primary source will emphasize some things and leave out others. It will look at events from one angle or another, that is, one point of view or another. External point of view has to do with social factors that may influence the creator of the source. It is external in that it has more to do with the author's background than with the content of the source itself. In this case, it means paying attention to who Sullivan was and why someone of his status and background might adopt a particular point of view. For example, do these facts about O'Sullivan's background help explain his views about manifest destiny? As a white middle-class male, O'Sullivan enjoyed full citizenship rights and other advantages. Some might say this explains his patriotic enthusiasm for America's rapid expansion westward. As a Democratic Party official, he'd be all for the westward expansion his party strongly backed in the 1830s and 1840s. On the other hand, it is important not to make easy generalizations about the role of such external social factors. For example, Robert Winthrop was also a white middle-class male. In 1846, he made sarcastic comments ridiculing manifest destiny in a speech to Congress. Group characteristics may suggest why someone would adopt a certain point of view, but these external factors are not sure guides. Individuals in any group vary in point of view. In the end, students must read closely and interpret the source itself. To sum up, your students need to keep several issues in mind when interpreting point of view. Here are the factors we've stressed in this presentation. In conclusion, analyzing point of view is an important challenge students need to keep in mind when interpreting any primary source.